Hi, I'm Beth from the West Allis Public Library, and welcome to another Let's Go on Vacation book club, where every week we'll visit another place through the Where Is series. This week we're visiting Walt Disney World, and this is episode 2 of the Walt Disney World series. Every night, Monday through Friday, we'll be posting new episodes at 7 o'clock, so we should get through one book or one place every week. So we're picking up today at Chapter 2, Building Disney World. About 3 weeks after everyone found out Disney was buying all that Florida property, there was a press conference. Walt said the new park would be the biggest thing we've ever tackled. At Disney World, he planned to include some of Disneyland's most popular attractions. One was called It's a Small World. On the ride, visitors sailed past 300 or so cute, singing, dancing dolls representing different countries. The ride's upbeat song was about worldwide friendship. Walt had plenty of epic ideas for Disney World too, but there were things he didn't want, like the kind of hotels, shops, and restaurants that had sprung up around Disneyland. They were crowded all around the park, leaving no room for it to expand. In Florida, he would finally have all the land he needed. Unfortunately, he would never see his new ideas built. In 1966, Walt Disney died of lung cancer. Many Americans and everyone at Disney were stunned and terribly sad. Walt was one of a kind. He was charming and popular. He was the idea man. How could Disney continue without him? Roy had been in charge of the financial side of the business, but he was retiring. Now what? Since the Disney World project had been so important to Walt, Roy decided that retirement would have to wait. He was determined to make the new park happen. Without Roy, Disney World would not have been built. The job would be huge and overwhelming, almost like organizing many battles for a war. 2 military men were put in charge, Admiral Joe Fowler and General Joe Potter. Joe Fowler was an architect-engineer who had served in the Navy designing and building ships. He knew how to manage large projects and groups of workers. He had already helped Walt build Disneyland and find the land for Disney World. Walt had always insisted on the best for his projects. He didn't like to be told that something would cost too much or that it couldn't be done. Joe Fowler was a can-do type of guy. Once, when Walt told him he wanted a waterfall in Adventureland part so that cast members could come out through it, Joe replied, "Can do." Even though he likely had no idea how to make Walt's idea work, he figured out a way. Joe Potter had been in the Army and was an expert engineer. Potter was put in charge of bringing electrical power and water to Disney World. After the design phase, construction began. Swampland had to be drained and dirt moved. Trees had to be moved or cut down. The area was huge, and it was hard to imagine where everything would go. Colored gas balloons on long strings were tied to the ground here and there to show the height and placement of future landmarks, like Cinderella Castle. Building Disney World would take more than 4 years. Disney World finally opened on October 1st, 1971. Walt's dream had come true, or had it? Just 10,000 guests came. Uh-oh. That was only about twice the number of cast members working at the park. Some people predicted Walt's second park was going to fail. However, it turned out that Disney World had purposefully opened off-season, when fewer people went on vacation. This would allow more time to work out any kinks before bigger crowds came. And come they did. In 2016, a total of more than 53 million people visited Walt Disney World's 4 parks. In 1971, a ticket to Walt Disney World for ages 3 through 11 cost $1, plus $3.50 for tickets to 7 rides. Magic Kingdom was its only theme park at first. Epcot was added in 1982, Hollywood Studios, originally named Disney MGM Studios, was added in 1989, and Animal Kingdom in 1998. They're called theme parks because most of what's in each park is built around a main theme or idea. Today, a one-day Magic Kingdom ticket can cost $99 or more. I think it's more now. Originally, Walt's plan had been to name his Florida location simply Disney World. However, Roy wanted to honor his brother and help people remember him. Today, the official name Roy chose decorates the brightly colored entrance signs on the road into the resort that read Walt Disney World, where dreams come true. Chapter 3, Magic Kingdom. Of all the Disney World parks, Magic Kingdom gets the most visitors. In fact, it gets more visitors annually than any other theme park in the world. You enter it on Main Street, USA, which looks like a street in a small American town from the year 1900. Some of the buildings were modeled after the Missouri town where Walt and Roy grew up. Windows in the stores along the street are built low so children can look inside. Here, you can board railroad trains for a ride around the Magic Kingdom. The red train is named for Walt. The green one is Lily Bell, named for his wife. At the far end of Main Street stands Cinderella Castle, soaring high with 27 royal blue and gold towers and 4 turrets. It was inspired by European castles and has a drawbridge and a water-filled moat. Though they look like stone, the marble bricks are actually fiberglass panels attached to a steel frame, then coated with plaster and concrete. The towers were built on the ground, then lifted by cranes into place. For flight safety, federal law says that any building more than 200 feet tall must display a flashing red light on top. Since that would have spoiled the fairy tale effect, Cinderella Castle is only 189 feet tall. It looks much taller though, due to the use of forced perspective. The bricks and windows higher up are smaller than those at the bottom. This fools your eyes into seeing the castle as much taller than it really is. That's called an optical illusion. From the Cinderella Castle area, paths branch out to Magic Kingdom's 6 lands. Clockwise, they are Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, Main Street, Adventureland, Frontierland, and Liberty Square. Fantasyland is all about magic and fairy tales, just like many of Walt's films. It has 4 castles: Cinderella Castle, Prince Eric's Castle, Beast's Castle, and Rapunzel's Tower. The Prince Charming Regal Carousel in this land is a real antique from 1917. At 60 feet across, it's one of the biggest of its kind in the world. Its 90 wooden horses on golden poles are decorated with colorful bridles, flowers, and shields. When the Walt Disney Company bought the carousel in 1967, its horses were covered in many old layers of paint. After sanding that off, they were painted white because most heroes rode white horses in movies and fairy tales. Many of the cars in Disney World rides are cleverly designed. In Magic Kingdom, you ride in clamshells at Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid. Dumbo the Flying Elephant has cute elephant-shaped cars that fly. The Seven Dwarfs mine train roller coasters cars sway side to side like cars in a real mine shaft. Tomorrowland's theme is outer space and aliens. It has the first computer-controlled thrill ride, Space Mountain. This roller coaster is popular and super fast. In the 1960s, there was a space race to see which country, the United States or the USSR, would land on the moon first. On July 20th, 1969, about 2 years before Disney World opened, American astronauts became the first to walk on the moon. People remained fascinated by the idea of outer space and what might be discovered there. So that is what inspired Tomorrowland. Walt was optimistic and excited about new technology and thought it would help the world in the future. At the Carousel of Progress, the audience sits in seats that automatically rotate around a stage to discover how technology has progressed through time. On stage, an audio animatronic American family discusses 4 eras, including 1900, gas lamps, hand-cranked washing machines, the 1920s, with electricity for lamps and radios, the 1940s, TVs and dishwashers, and at first, the present-day part of the show presented trends of the 1960s and 70s, such as caring for the environment and moms working outside the home. Today, it highlights high-tech things like virtual reality games and HD TVs. Adventureland has a tropical jungle theme inspired by Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, and the South Seas. Jungle Cruise is a lazy outdoor boat ride through this land. Walt had hoped to have real jungle animals here, but decided they might not behave or might hide when they heard people coming. That was probably smart. Frontierland is set in the Wild West days of the United States. In the 1950s and 60s, there was a craze of cowboy and Western-themed TV shows. Walt Disney tapped into it by creating a TV show based on a real frontiersman named Davy Crockett. Many kids wanted coonskin caps like the one Davy wore. The different lands show that Walt wasn't just interested in fairy tales and fantasy. He also wanted to present moments in history, important present-day ideas, and an introduction to other parts of the world. So that was the end of Chapter 3. That's where we'll stop for today. Join us tomorrow at 7 o'clock, where we'll pick up with Chapter 4 of Where is Walt Disney World? That is Episode 2 of our Let's Go on Vacation book club from the West Dallas Public Library.